Welcome to Watto Talk. This is episode 2. We've had a few technical difficulties on getting this certain episode out. This week has been pretty hectic, at least for me. I don't know about you.
Well, all I could say is I am Zinc 101.
And I am E Soldiers 001.
And we're going to be talking about one of the most craziest concepts of them all. Not my week, but instead, Terry Goodkind.
If you don't know, Terry Goodkind is one of the greatest authors. I think you've actually read pretty much most.
Oh, I haven't. I read 4 books.
I think, the first chapter of Wizard's First Rule. I just never finished it. So he's a little bit controversial. He's just, had a couple rants,
Couple of oopsies.
Yeah, he went on Facebook, insulted the cover art for something that he commissioned. Like, I don't get it. It's like, oh, this cover art is so bad. So you commissioned the artist who did a really good job.
And Terry Goodkind definitely did not steal from Robert Jordan enemies.
Are you kidding me? Oh, no, it's completely original. He didn't steal from J.R.R. Tolkien or C.S. Lewis or Robert Jordan. No, absolutely.
Yeah, no, his ideas are so original. I mean, especially his magic system. Very, very much original. Definitely not stolen from Robert Jordan.
See, what people just don't get with Terry Goodkind is his work is philosophy, and that's just too smart. It's just too smart for the average idiot that loves The Hobbit and Wheel of Time.
That is what he said. He did say that his work is philosophy. It's not fantasy. How dare you assume it's philosophy? That's what he said.
It's not even on the same plane of existence
as fantasy. I mean, he did say it's actually philosophy.
Here's obviously there was an interview, the infamous interview from 2007. I have a couple notes. We're not going to be reading the entire thing because it is, like, with how long it is, I feel like that in itself could be a short novel.
It's basically just a sort of truth.
It's a sort of truth. It's just basically him trying to defend his work and say why he's so good. It's like, it's good to hear that. This is one of the quotes that I took out of context. I'm attempting to publish several novels myself. While I spent plenty of time thinking about them, about the characters and what they experience, I didn't know what I was ready to write until I heard an internal alarm clock begin to beep. All right. So here's Terry Goodkind's response. I think that's critical. I get letters from people all the time saying, I'm 13 years old and I want to write a book and get it published. What's the secret? What do I do? You can't explain to people that they're just not intellectually prepared to write a novel. Oh, wow, we're already getting deep into this. A novel is a thing of incredible complexity. Human beings are genetically evolved to understand the most subtle cues from other human beings. The most satisfying thing in the world to us is other people, and because we are so hyper-connected to the way other people behave, it's the body language they give off, the meaning in their words that are different from what they may be saying in their moons. Honestly, you kind of threw me for a loop there. I'll stop listening around.
All I have to say
Paragraph 2.
That I'm going to get a book from one of my books from that Terry Goodkind written, and I'm going to read something out. I'm going to read a excerpt from it. So if you can you please continue talking while I get the book?
Yes. All right, so here's one more Q&A. Is it right here? In past interviews, you said that you felt driven to write Wizard's First Rule. When did you know that Wizard's First Rule was going to be the first in the series? Well, I'm a born storyteller. My earliest memories of telling myself stories I lived with characters from the stories in my head. When I was little, I remember playing in the backyard, writing and directing plays for the other kids in the neighborhood. Yeah, that must have been fun. Just some simple kidnapping storylines. Oh, okay, that's kind of wild. So I've always told myself stories. When I say I was driven to write, it's not as if I felt overcome with the need to write Wizard's First Rule. I've always wanted to write. That is like the most humble thing he said this entire thing. Like, wow. So inspiring. Trying to find. Yeah, this I recommend for everybody listening to this, you actually look up the interview with Terry Goodkind. It is long. Those were just a couple inserts from that.
Well, now that I'm back, I have Terry Goodkind's The Pillar of Creation, which I don't know which book this is.
It's the,
In the Sword of Truth timeline.
just reading these here. This is going to be good.
Well, let's read the reviews by Jackals of Evil. Dedicated to the people in the United States intelligence community who, for decades, have vainly fought to preserve life and liberty, while being ridiculed, commended, demonized, and shackled by the Jackals of Evil. Clearly, Terry Goodkind thought he was being persecuted for some reason.
He's being persecuted for writing his philosophy.
Well, let's just read a random page.
Random page.
33.
Random paragraph.
She was sure he meant something that she didn't quite understand. Whatever it was, she had bigger worries. Her eyes turned toward the echoing calls coming out of the swamp. There was no telling how big the trees were because the tops disappeared into mist. As large as they looked, the trunks had to be enormous. Vines descended out of the mist, along with any number. Okay, this seems normal. Where's the weird stuff? I swear.
Where's the philosophy coming in?
Like, no, I mean, Terry Goodkind has some weird stuff. I guess when you try to look for it, it won't show up.
Yeah, doesn't he have like the weird
Yeah, that was
BDSM stuff or something? Is there like you told me about book 3? There's like a group of people that it's like they sit like
Oh,
what am I trying to say?
I found something.
How did you find it?
The first day she had met him, he had several complimentary remarks. The first about how people might say that the dead soldier saw a beautiful young woman strutting along and thus tripped and fell to his death, and then the Sebastian rule, as he called it, giving her the dead soldier's ornate knife, saying that beauty belonged with beauty. What does that mean?
Wait, she just tripped
with beauty.
She just trips and dies? Is that it?
And never trust words offered so effortlessly. Oh, I get words.
Terry Goodkind, you are on a whole nother level. I am not tracking any of this.
She thought again about the sincerity in his eyes. This time, and how surprisingly tongue-tied and awkward he seemed. Insincerity was often smoothly delivered, but matters of heart rate were more difficult to express because so much was at stake. Seriously, this guy doesn't really know how to... What is he writing?
He does know how to roast other writers, though. Like that infamous debacle during the time when Robert Jordan was sick. I think it was a heart condition.
It was like, no, I'm good. I don't like this Robert Jordan guy. So they should have finished the books.
Terry Goodkind. I think the direct quote from him would be, "Oh, I have the heart of a 15-year-old boy." It's like your colleague is in the hospital, and that's the quote you're wanting to go with there.
Well, look, I think the reason why he said that was because he wanted to steal more content from Robert Jordan for his book series, which actually, strangely enough, I believe the book series had 16 books, technically speaking, but really it was 15. Wheel of Time also had 15 books if you count the prequel.
That is kind of uncanny. I will say this about the books. I like the book covers for the most part. The third one, I don't know if it was the third or fourth one. It's the one that has like the dragon hanging on the wall, whatever.
I think that's the third one.
That one looks horrible, but the first book cover is actually pretty good. Because I think they got David Beekman, who did a couple illustrations for Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, oh, okay.
It's all right, but the book content's mid. I think it gets worse.
The book covers get more confusing because it's like you go from traditional fantasy to just like statues of like ripped men.
This is just a painting of some person in a dark cloak sitting in like some desert area in the Pillars of Creation.
Beautiful.
I actually haven't gotten to that. I finished book 3 and that was like, what am I doing with my life?
You got way farther than I did. I have yet to finish book 1, which I will eventually finish at some point.
So the thing about Terry Goodkind's books is that Robert, the main character, he doesn't really do that much.
He's kind of just like a plank of wood.
He is never wrong. He's always right. He's never, ever wrong.
It's like if you made Captain America boring, like even more boring.
And
Like
the
he's
best the best characters that Terry Goodkind wrote was that lady character. I forgot her name. Oh yeah, it was I always mix this character with the character in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight series. It's not a trilogy, but it's I don't remember the name. But all I could say is that she is basically like a witch, and she had potential to be a really good character. Except in Terry Goodkind books, from what I heard, he just basically makes her get trapped all the time. She's supposed to be a powerful woman, but she never actually is. She's always being captured or getting R-word. If you know what I'm talking about.
why would you fit that in? Why, Terry? Why? Why?
Yeah, he's weird.
He was a very interesting man. Also, rest in peace for those who don't know Terry Goodkind.
Oh, and Robert
That's
always gets in a chance where he's always... No, he's not intentionally cheating. These women always chased after him. Every time he's either under some weird BDSM spell,
Oh my god!
or some woman wants to marry him, and he will trick him into doing something by brainwashing him. It is absolutely strange.
Those are some wacky shenanigans right there.
Oh, yeah. And basically, the so-called evil of the world is so vague. It doesn't make sense. And most of the time, the plot just rehashes itself over and over and over again. So, yeah, Terry Goodkind books are very much not good.
They're very wacky, to say the least, while the information.
I might say that Terry Goodkind was basically the J.K. Rowling before J.K. Rowling was J.K.
She was J.K. Rowling before J.K. Rowling became popular on Twitter for Twitter tirades. Of course, as stated before, Terry Goodkind unfortunately did pass away in 2020, and that is very sad.
That is very sad.
But still, his legacy of books is a little bit murky, all things considered.
But at least the good news is that you can buy his books
For
thrift stores. Never buy it from an actual bookstore.
we went to Barnes and Noble. We saw the first book. I think it was like what was it, like 25?
Yeah, it was like $20.
20? And then I went to another store up in Nashville, and
Was it like a buck? It was like 2 pennies.
it was like 25 cents, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I think they actually went up in price though. I think they're now like about $5, $1.
Why did it go up in price?
How much did I spend on my I bought Wizard's First Rule. I think
I spent like $1.
I spent like $1 or something. I don't think I went above that.
Yeah, all I could say is that Terry Goodkind books is not really that good. I mean, there's literally, middle school fantasy was way much better. Like, I'm not a big fan of the Beyonders, which I'm reading right now. But it has way much more of an interesting isekai plot than isekai plot. If you don't know, is when you teleport to a different world. Sometimes you die, sometimes you don't. You just teleport to a different world. It has way much more interesting plot than Terry Kind's and any of his books. Let's be real, they're all bad.
Honestly, I'm more interested in like his shenanigans, like everything he does, like outside of his books, like him constantly slamming every other fantasy writer, than actually reading any of his books.
Well, that's going to be all about Terry Goodkind's for today's podcast.
Yes.
We're now going to Subway for our last subject and the second one. I think it was called Family Karma, that show.
Oh yeah, the Family Karma, the episode we just watched.
It's very interesting. It's very funny too. Basically, the whole plot is that it's the Kim Kardashians, but for Indian families.
Yeah, it's actually funnier than Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Yeah, it's very funny because like you have Monica and what's that guy's name?
They got Brian. They're like the two guys from the show.
they're best friends that
for years.
literally everyone's shipping.
They've also constantly texted, throughout the
Couple
years.
type of things.
They've gone out to prom. They go eat frequently, and yet still not dating.
Look, I shipped them. They definitely have very good chemistry.
Even though it is staged, I would like to see Monica finally be with Brian, or maybe they eventually did. I don't know. I've only seen
And
like
the other
episode.
characters, they're okay.
I like the grandpa. I like that.
Yeah,
What was the one quote. He goes to Hooters with his granddaughter.
It's like, I'm not gonna do the accent, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just funny. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to Hooters, definitely for the vegetables.
Oh, dude, you see those steamed carrots. I worth.
They didn't they like bless the car? That was funny.
Yeah, they blessed the car so they wouldn't get in a horrible wreck.
Oh,
Put a couple oranges on it.
that definitely.
I don't know if we're insulting anybody's culture. If you like to, bless your car, like to put some fruit in your car, maybe a little bit of hot sauce, we're not gonna judge you. It's a free country,
Hey,
you know.
I do the same thing with my car that I definitely have driven, which is I do the daily hot sauce drill.
I'm there for it. I help you. You get like a big bucket of hot sauce.
Not a big bucket. That's too much. I get like a shot of hot sauce.
You put it in the fuel tank.
No, and I just drink it. Then I drink water. It really does wonders to wake you up because I don't like coffee. So
Just like some hot sauce, like put in your nose. Your sinuses are going to be clean, but you're going to have several more issues after that. But in my opinion, it's a win-win.
Yeah, show is pretty funny. We only saw one episode though because it's pretty long. It's like 42 minutes.
It's like 40 minutes, 40 episodes in total.
Yeah, it was absolutely something that's funny to watch. It's better than Disney show. Let's be real.
Disney has just been like, I don't think we've really touched upon this. Disney has just been bombing. You didn't see Haunted Mansion because I didn't know that movie came out, and then I did, and it failed horribly.
All I could say is that the only thing that's been good recently with Disney is The Mandalorian season 3. That was good. I loved it. It was amazing.
I like when Disney loses money. I think that was the biggest highlight.
Yeah, but
Movie
now they're
season.
gonna lose money if they don't even pay their employees.
Oh yeah, did you hear that they no longer have like I guess tax exemption for Disney World now, so they now have to start paying certain taxes.
Oh yeah, they actually should have been paying taxes the
Like
whole time.
when I think about it, like the Catholic Church is in tax, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Disney World not getting certain taxes, like come on.
It's because of some weird loophole law when they were doing it, when they made it back in the day.
I always forget that like Disney World is like technically its own like place, and also like Disney owns a bunch of like nuclear warheads. I think I'm like, what are they planning to do with that?
Oh, they're just gonna plan it to bomb Florida.
It's like, you know what, Mickey Mouse is in the public domain. Launch the warhead. We're gonna decimate.
Honestly, though, what's
California.
Florida's actually a place that exists, and
It is a place we've been there. It is quite interesting to say the least.
I say that I did not have a good experience in Florida. I had IBS there. If you know what that means, you know what that means.
If you know what that means, you feel the pain.
Yeah.
You remember just the heat? It was like 98. I was wearing a shirt, like shorts. I'm still melting outside.
Rain out of the middle of nowhere, just a random thunderstorm.
Oh yeah, remember the mosquitoes? It's like we got sprayed with like whatever. It was like some homemade mosquito spray. I think that actually just made it worse.
I remember seeing the alligators too. They're real.
Oh god.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that alligators were actually real. I mean, I've seen them in the zoo, but like they're actually in the open, in the wild. That was insane.
That's an insane moment right there. It's like when I saw a squirrel and I'm like, it's a squirrel. Like, what is it doing here?
Well, squirrels are quite powerful.
They're ranked 9,000 on the power scale. Look that up. Everybody go to power scale on Google and put squirrel as like
We have about 20
number one.
seconds left until we'll end this podcast.
Drink plenty of water and get the minimum of 1 hour power naps per hour.
1 hour power naps, more like epic power naps. I think we're gonna end this episode today. I was your host, Sync 101.
I'm E Soldier 001 and I hate everything.
And good night.
America.
And goodbye. That will be the end of the video. In about now.